Okay, then I think we can start off now. Before I begin, just one request to everyone to please put themselves on mute because we want to avoid as much background noise as possible since we are recording this meeting. You can always post your questions in chat or any interruptions that you may face. Please let me know. Um, so this is going to be an interactive session, so you all can unmute yourself whenever required. And I hope that everyone has their notebooks and pen handy, as was requested in the email invite. Okay, so today's guest is Miss Delna Sedalji. She's a veteran in the space of writing. Guys, please put yourself on mute. Okay. So yeah, going back to the introduction, I don't think Delna's needs much introduction, but I must start by saying that she's a veteran in the space of writing. She has almost 17 years of experience in writing. She has not only co-authored books with Microsoft team, but she also runs her own company for the last 11 years called Stylus Solutions. Today's topic is going to be micro content, and as I said before, it is going to be an interactive session. And Delnaz, we are very excited to have you, and we look forward to learning more about what this micro content buzzword is all about. Over to you, Delnaz.
Thank you so much, Gunjan. Hi, everybody. Good morning to everybody. I am very excited to be connected with everybody who's here attending the session today. In the middle of the session, we will have time for questions. So please hold on your questions till then. We will then take questions one at a time. When you have a question, please raise your hand so we can have everybody interact and participate one at a time. Also, put questions in the chat whenever required. We will be going to them in the middle of the sessions as well. So, beginning the session, I will be sharing my screen. So, let's begin with what is micro content. To begin with that, I would first ask you all to take your paper and pen and list down what is your daily schedule on a working day before the lockdown happened. So please note down exactly what is your schedule, what time do you start your day, what time do you end your day, and in the middle, what is it that you do, what are the main tasks that you are doing. I'll just give you 1 minute to note it down and then we will go through it. Guys, once you're noted down, I'll be asking a couple of people to share what you will have noted down. So please let me know once you're ready, raise your hand so we can take this session forward. Yes, so anybody is ready to share what you're written down till now? You can please raise your hands.
Any volunteers, guys? Anybody wants to tell us what all they've listed?
Yeah, hi, I can go. My name is Duma, and just to be clear, this was before the lockdown, correct?
Right, that's right.
Okay, so yeah, I used to reach office around 8:30 or so. And by 9 we used to have breakfast in office. 9:30 we used to start working. On some days, like every week, one day of the week, we used to have scrum where we all give updates
Okay.
as to our projects and whatever happened in the earlier week. And yeah, after scrum we again got back to working, and then 1 o'clock I diligently go have my lunch.
Okay.
And yeah, then I get back to completing my work, and then by 5:36 I'm done.
Okay. And then
I beg your pardon?
after that, how does it go? I mean, if I have to say how much time does it take for you to go get back home, then after home, what is your schedule? So it's not just the work
Oh,
schedule, the entire day
okay.
schedule. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
So
I live very close to
maybe
office.
8:30 at work.
It's
Anything you do before 8:30 or normal daily chores?
yeah, no, nothing in the morning, because we get like
I don't think we can hear you right now.
oh sorry, I was talking on mute.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, life before the lockdown was pretty sorted. Like there was no cooking or anything that was required.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was just basically getting ready and going to office. And then we had like office provides food, so that's
Great.
sorted. Yeah, and then after coming back home, I'd have like my house help who would like come do her work and then go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it was like then I get back to cooking, and then yeah, that was my evening routine.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Ruma, approximately how much time do you take in traveling from work to home and home to work?
Less than 2 minutes because I stay like really close to my office.
Oh, fantastic. That's very nice. Great.
Yeah.
Sharing the schedule. Anybody else would like to go for it?
Yeah, I can go next.
Komal here. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Komal.
Yeah. Unlike Ruma, actually, I take around 1.5 hours. I live in PCMC and go to almost Kharadi. So it's
Okay.
1.5 hours
One
journey
way. Okay.
that I have to take. Yeah. So one way. Yeah. So total around 2.5 to 3 hours, you can say, with traffic. So my
Okay.
daily routine was get up at 7, prepare lunch, or if I have any help, then I might take a walk or so that I'm fresh for the day. Then board my bus at 8:30, go to my bus station, walk till that bus station, and then board office bus at 8:30. Then reach office around 10, 9:45 to 10, have breakfast quickly, and then attend the scrum call, and we work in agile, and then check up meetings and work towards my ending my sprint work, and then have lunch, then have little walk after lunch with my office buddies, and then come back, have some more work, attend meetings with US folks, then again have tea and get back to work. So around 7, after finishing all my work and meetings, I board bus back and reach home at 8:30, and then the usual stuff. I'm actually very tired to do anything, and in the meantime, during those 1.5 hours, I go through, the social stuff in my Instagram, the news that I might have missed, and Twitter account. So, or anything new that is happening in the country, in the world, or related to uh, my profession, that just caught my eye. So that's all is my routine.
Okay. Great. Thanks for sharing, Komal. Anybody else? We'll take just one more person.
Yeah, I can go.
Anyone?
I can go.
Sure.
Kanchana, yeah, go ahead, Kanchana.
So I normally wake up at 5:30 and I meditate for some time. From 6:15 onwards, I need to start cooking. I prepare lunch for myself, my husband, and my son. Get my son ready and send him to school. Then after that, at around 8 o'clock onwards, I start getting ready. And by 9:30, I'm ready. I finish my breakfast and I leave the office. I stay close by, so I reach office by about 9:45 a.m. 9:45 to about 4:30, I'm in the office doing all my work. I also manage my lunch in between that. I leave office, reach home by about 4:45, grab a cup of milk, and I leave to the gym. So 5:30 to 6:30, I'm in the gym. I reach home, and then between 7:30 and 8, 7:30 and 7:30 and 10, I manage my time between the office calls and dinner, and also spending some time with my son and helping him with his studies. Then after 10, after dinner is over, I once again check my emails, and I complete some pending work that was there, which I had not finished during the day. And normally I sleep at 11:30. But before I sleep, I make sure that I read for at least 15 minutes. I read something that I like, and then I sleep off. That's my day.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kanchana. Great. So, guys, if we have a look at our own schedules, all of us, how much time do we really have for ourselves? When I mean talking about ourselves, I don't mean the time which we have for our family or with our friends or something like that. I mean for ourselves really. Like somewhere where Kanchana said she would do meditation, half an hour would be like time for herself. So how much time do we all really get for ourselves on a daily routine work? I would hardly say an hour at max.
Yes.
Yeah, so during this time, do you really want to spend this time reading, finding blogs and reading half an hour, going through half an hour videos? Or do you prefer something which just gets across to you, gets the point across to you in say like 15 seconds or 30 seconds? We would usually prefer the shorter option, right? Because we anyways grappling on time, we're running short of time. And considering today's lifestyle, most of us spend a lot of time traveling. I heard somebody also saying 1.5 hour one day of travel. Now, also, if you have noticed, 90% of the people while they're traveling are spending their time on mobile phones. So, this time can be best used to read content and view information online. Okay, so while returning home or while going to work, what we want to do is we want to quickly go through different information just available online. It could be on Instagram, it could be news article or any such thing. Now, one of the major shifts in today's life includes long working hours, increased travel time, increased time on mobile phones. So this change in lifestyle has resulted in the demand for micro content. So what is micro content? Has anybody gone through this and anybody wants to share what exactly is micro content according to them? Okay, so let's just go ahead with the definitions of what is micro content. Micro content, as the term itself suggests, is micro is very small and content, as we all know, is information. So yes, micro content refers to very small pieces of information that can be shared online. Thus, the term snackable content is also frequently used to refer to micro content. Now, if you have to go through a couple of definitions of micro content is standalone information in the form of written text. It could be an image or a video that can be consumed in less than 10 to 30 seconds. Please note that we have written the word can be consumed in less than 10 to 30 seconds. It is not that the length of the video or the length of the particular article should be 10 to 30 seconds. Because even if your video is 10 to 30 seconds in length, but there's so much content that it cannot be consumed or understood by the reader in that much amount of time, it is not considered as micro content. So it is basically information that can be consumed in less than 10 to 30 seconds. And also note that micro content is defined as standalone information. So this information needs to make sense as a piece itself. It cannot be something which which refers to something else somewhere else. It has to stand alone and be independent piece of information which is stuck over there. This is one definition of micro content. Another definition of micro content over here is
Delnaz, I'm sorry to interrupt. Someone said that they cannot see the slide of micro content. Can anyone confirm that they're able to see what is being shown on the screen, please? Or is it a problem with everybody? Because I can see Delnaz's
Yes.
screen, right?
I can
I
also
see it too.
Okay. Okay, please go ahead, Delnaz. Thanks.
Okay, great. So I'll go ahead with the second definition of micro content. The second definition says micro content is a small group of words which can be skimmed by the reader to understand the wider message of the article. So what here we are saying is micro content can also be like a very short summary. Again, 10 to 30 seconds is the consumption limit. 10 to 30 seconds of a summary of a larger article. So it could be a newsletter or it could be a user guide, it could be like a 15-page administrator guide or something, which you can just write a short note or a summary of it, which can be 10 to 30 seconds. Even that is considered as micro content. So anybody has any questions on what is micro content till now?
There are a few questions in chat about how to measure the consumption time.
So measuring the consumption time, you cannot be very accurate about it, but it just needs to make sure that you have more number of words. Like in this particular screen which you see online right now, this can be considered as micro content because this can be consumed in 10 to 30 seconds. It's your judgment. You have to use the place this much information. Somebody can read and understand in 10 to 30 seconds. But if I'm going to write the same definition in a very complex way, even if it's just the same number of words, but if it's so complicated it cannot be understood, then it's not micro content. So this is something which you'll have to come up with judgment, and I think you'll also get to know once you get the users' reviews on it. You're usually posting this content online, so you usually get your responses from the users as well. But basically, any content is crisp, small, and simple will be termed as micro content. If somebody AK has raised hand, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi, morning. The thing is, as you have just explained about micro content, right? If I will just explain, if for example, if I'm explaining something, okay,
Mm-hmm.
for example, it is like if we talk about security point of view, and if I say that if I explain that is to my audience that what is the meaning of cyber security, okay. So if I give a few lines, which is known as in the and that is as the concept which is explained about micro content with the help of a screenshot, and then at the end I write click more for more details. Please go ahead with the link below. So can we call this as a micro content as well?
Yes, perfect. That will be considered as micro content. We will be coming across, we'll be sharing examples of what is micro content. So I'll have this as one of the examples. You're perfectly right here.
That's great. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome. Yeah. Great. So anybody has any further questions, or can we move ahead on the next topic? Okay, I guess there are no questions right now. So now that we've understood what is micro content, let's have a look at what is the purpose of creating micro content. Why would you create micro content? Okay, now just like you would want to wine and dine your date before taking it to the next level, you also need to wine and dine your clients before getting them on board. So micro content is used just to do that. It gets your point across to the client within few seconds. Okay, as discussed earlier, people today have very little time for themselves. So the best way to engage them is to provide shreds of information every day instead of sharing all at one time. Okay, this not only helps to digest the information quickly, but it also allows for long-time engagement, the wine and dine part which we're talking about. So now when we are saying micro content, does that mean that the earlier ways of writing such as newsletters, blogs, modules, product feature guides, etc. are all backdated and redundant? That's the next question which comes across to a lot of people. So the answer is of course not. These are all very important and still required to provide the complete and detailed information. In fact, micro content is used as a teaser or a way to lure your content into the detailed information, like we just said some time back. Okay, it can be also used to solve a specific problem or answer a question for a target audience in a very short amount of space. It could be something like an FAQ that somebody would have. So just one FAQ question and answer done would be like a micro content. Okay, you can also simply add a link for reference to your micro content, which will take the user to the detailed blog like we discussed earlier. Also, micro content is a great way to lead your audience deeper into the funnel with the short-term goal of helping them to learn about your product or services and the long-term goal of closing the deals. Okay, so micro content is used mostly on social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, Vine, Twitter, etc. Once you create your followers through micro content, you can then start a conversation with them and turn it into a positive business deal. So is micro content the same as short form content? Have you all heard of the term short form content? Basically, short form content is an extract of a large piece of information. This could be like a 500-word blog, or it could be a 15-page manual which you'll have, and a short extract of that. So that short extract of a 15-page manual could also be 500 words, and that would be considered as short form content. That would not be micro content because 500 words is too long. Okay, however, if you're summarizing the entire 15-page manual within a few words, which can be termed as micro content, that would be micro content. Okay, micro content is usually a 50-word one-liner or an image or a 10 seconds, 30 seconds video about the product. So now, what are the benefits of micro content? It is smaller in size and thus easy to upload. It can be uploaded anywhere. It can be attached with any file. It does not require buffer time to load because of the size limit. Okay, it conveys the information within seconds, and thus it is very easy to browse through it. It can be used on multiple platforms like Vine, which allows only 6-second videos, Instagram, which allows only 15-second videos, and Twitter, which allows only like 140 characters of text as a limit. So these are the advantages of using micro content. Anybody has any questions until now? Or can we move on to the examples of micro content?
Hey Delnas, this is Sangeeta. So, can you hear me good?
Yeah, very good. Tell me.
Yeah. So this the format that we look in Google search, where they give you an abstract of whatever questions you have asked for. Like if you search something, you get a small snippet. So that could be considered as an example of micro content then, because
Yes, that's
sort of an
we're having a very intelligent group of people out here. You're really coming up with great examples. We will be covering all of that. You're right, 100% right. So the snippet which you get at the bottom when you search for anything on Google, that's a featured snippet, it's called. So that is definitely termed as a micro content. Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else with any questions? Okay, great. So we're going to move ahead with examples of micro content. Over here, while we are giving examples of what we have created for Stylus Solutions and probably some of our clients, I would very strongly encourage you all to use your paper and pen and simultaneously create similar examples of micro content for your software which you're currently working with or you've last worked with. Or if there are any freshers, you can just consider Microsoft Word as a software and start creating simple micro content. Just draw something, write something, scribble something on your books to get an idea as to how you can create micro content. Okay, let's make it hands-on. Let's get to know how we can create micro content rather than just the theory of it. So now starting with the examples of micro content, what kind of content can be termed as micro content? First of all is infographics. The two images you see on the screen are both infographics. So it's basically textual information presented in a graphical way. So if you see, we've used icons and images where possible, or sometimes we just used colors and different shapes to create an interesting image. So I would strongly encourage you all to probably just come up with something, draw something on your paper, probably just list down the features of your application which you are documenting or working with right now. I'm not sure how comfortable everybody is with Microsoft Word, but I assume since we're technical writers, we should be very well versed with it. It also has a feature called Smart Art. If you remember, Microsoft Word has a feature called as Smart Art. So that can be considered as infographics. So let me just quickly check. Yeah. To the Insert tab, if we do Smart Art, and if you go, these are all considered as infographics. We can use these to create infographics. These are all built-in infographics which can be used. So if you want a list of features, you can just simply select.
Are you sharing something?
Anybody had any question?
Yeah, Dalmas, we're not able to see what you're sharing.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
So were you trying to share PowerPoint?
Yeah,
Or
I was trying to
I
share.
don't think it's showing up.
Yeah, I'll just share. Yeah, so we can see the screen now.
Yeah.
So if we go to the Insert tab and we go to Smart Art over here, we can see a list of all these different types of smart art. These are all which can be used as infographics. You can use these to create infographics for our products, manuals, whatever is required. Especially if I have to create a list of features like I suggested right now, you can select list over here and select any option from here, whichever goes well. For example, I'm selecting this vertical box option. I will just select this, insert it, and here if I want to change the colors, by default the design tab is enabled here. change colors. I would select whatever colors I want. I can quickly right click. I can add more shapes to it. Add a shape. I can add shapes. After I can add as many. I can just type in some text. Feature 1, feature 2, and so on. So this becomes a very simple infographic which you've created. Now remember, please, that when you're creating an infographic, the amount of text needs to be minimal. So something like this cannot be termed as an infographic. It cannot be a micro content infographic for sure. Because there's too much of text. So somebody might ask, how much content is good enough content. So this you can just look at it and you know that, okay, this is way too much content to do as micro content. It needs to be simple, short sentences, one-liner sentences. It could just be a one word also. If you just have one term as a feature which you want to share, it can be just that as well. So I would just encourage you all to take your paper pen. If you have access to a computer, please use MS Word also, and you all can quickly create a quick infographic for yourself as to how you all would represent your features of the software documenting using an infographic. Okay, guys, you all have any questions on how to go about infographics? So can we move ahead to the next example? Anyone's drawn an infographic, wants to share something, any questions about it? This is going to be your best way of creating micro content, guys. So please take your time, get creative about infographics. Is the best way to represent your data without investing too much time in designing or any such thing. If you want to create custom infographics like the one you see on the screens right now, then you may need a graphic designer to help you draw these designs, or probably get some specific designs online freely available, etc. So any questions on infographics, anybody? So infographic is not different from a smart art. So smart art, like I just said, is an infographic itself. It can be considered as an infographic, yes. An infographic, smart art is a part of infographic. Infographics can be more than just a smart art as well. Like you see on the screen, these are images created by the graphic designer. It's not a default smart art which is used. Okay, that's answering the question of Prajakta on chat. Anybody else, any questions? Prajakta, is that clear? Do you have any further questions?
Delna's once
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So my question is, what are the typical elements, the content elements of infographics? I just checked the smart arts. There's process diagrams. There are like Venn diagrams in terms of pie chart. There's hierarchy related. There's relationship related. There is a pyramid way of related. Typically, when we author content, we have 9 information elements. Where one example I can share is like, for example, the glossary item is one information element. So for infographics, what are the information elements that you categorize the content to be in, and what is the methodology that you how do you decide what fits in what category? I mean, there must be some rule of thumb that you might be following, right?
That's a very good question as to how to identify what content can go in the graphics is what you mean to say, right?
Yeah. How do you categorize the content? What is the information element that infographics can have? Thank you.
So basically, something like a glossary, if it is really long, you have a very huge glossary, that will not go well in an infographic. If it's just a couple of words.
One second, Delna. Sorry to interrupt you. I just said glossary for example. Just example of my information element. Yeah.
Right. I'm just explaining that in glossary, if you have, so you'll get an idea as to how you can categorize. So if you have anything, it's glossary is just a broad idea, but if you have any kind of a list which has a lot of points in it, if you have 15 points of a list in it, it will not go into an infographic. Or if you want to put it into an infographic, you will at the most be able to create something like you see for stylus on the left, you have something in the middle, like these are the features and you'll just list the main features like flexibility, security, etc. You will not be able to explain it in detail. So your infographics is not supposed to be something which can be covered in very detailed. Infographic will only cover the main points. You only use infographics to highlight any point. So even a process diagram you can use if you want to explain the process of the system or any such thing. You can use a process diagram which can just highlight the main processes. Now, please note that in your documents, each infographic will obviously always have to be accompanied by detailed text. Infographic is just to give you a quick overview of what is coming up in the text below. That is within your documents. But when you're placing these infographics on the social media, these individually should make sense to the user. So when I see a software, I can see, suppose say your document is AVG software. I should be able to see features of AVG software is one is security, of course, one is email security, one is internet security. So I should be able to quickly browse through these main features out here. And then you can probably provide a link or something to an article which lists this in details and explains you how it protects you. Is that clear the question?
Yeah, Delna. So basically, what I was not trying to say that it's not about process. Just an example of simplification elements. But yeah, you have answered my question. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thanks for asking. Okay, I have a question from Akash also. Yes, you can use different software. I think you asked if can Canva also be one of the good options to create infographics. You can create infographics using a lot of software. You can use Illustrator, you can use Photoshop, you can use whatever software you're comfortable with. There is absolutely no restriction that MS Word or PowerPoint is the only one you can use. There are a lot of software options available, So please go and explore as much as you can. I just mentioned Microsoft Word because it's something everybody's comfortable with and it's very convenient to have built-in options. I can please question in the chat. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I was coming to that. Komal has a very interesting question there.
Yeah.
What about advanced topics?
Yeah.
How to address those in microcontent?
Sorry, which I am reading to one from Anjali which says, can we save this as an image, PNG, etc.? So yes, all your infographics at the end will be saved as an image file only, which can be shared online or your platforms. So Anjali, that is answering your question. Coming to Komal, if we are following topic ordering, should we create micro content for every other topic? What about some advanced topics? How to address those in micro content? So I think Komal, I just answered your question earlier, like answering the other one. Micro content is not used to address detailed advanced topics. It is just used to give you an overview of it. So yes, you can still use it in advanced topics to give an overview of it, but your micro content will have to be coupled with text which explains the details. So you will need content. So micro content does not mean you get away with long written content. Any other questions, guys? Can we move to the next form of example of micro content? Okay, great. So I guess I'll be moving ahead to the next example. One we saw was infographics. The next one we see are videos. Okay, now these are videos which are going to be only 15 seconds to 30 seconds in length. So I'll just play. So something like this would be a 15-second video if you just say. Another again. Okay, so the very first video which we saw for Stylus was a basically 15-second video. The second one which we saw for Crayon was a 30-second video, but both of them give you a clear understanding of what product or service that it is that they have to offer. So please make sure that when you're creating these videos, ideally we would not very much encourage you to have an audio as in a video, somebody speaking, because it would take you much more longer time to explain something. Unless it's just a very short sentence or like a quick one-liner which somebody is saying vocally, that's fine. But otherwise, usually if you plan to have short videos, basic background at the end is fine. If it's challenging for you to add audio or music towards the background of the video, probably you can just have a quick video without the background audio, but make sure it is a little catchy. It has some images, it has some text, and yes, you would need assistance from probably your team who will be able to help you create a video for sure. Alternatively, I think Microsoft PowerPoint also allows you to add animations and then export it as a video, but I'm not sure how effective that would be. You can check it out and you can see how it works for you. But yeah, that is one option you can consider, adding animations in your PowerPoint and then exporting as a video file. So can we move ahead to the next example of micro content, sorry? Do you have any questions?
Delna, I have just one question.
Sure.
Sankita here. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, so I had the same question. If we cannot create a video, can we use animated GIF, like as you said, instead of exporting them as a video, just have the GIF playing?
If you're playing it as a GIF, yes, sure, it can be inserted, definitely. Yes.
Like a recurring loop GIF, animated loop.
Yes, that can be used. Animated GIF files can be used, yes, correct.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else, any questions? Akash has asked, any good tools for such short videos? Basically, these two videos have been created using Flash, or probably you can check with your team. I'm sure every company would have a development team who would be able to assist you with the creation of videos, but on an basically Flash is what is most commonly used. I think it is now replaced with another software also. I don't remember the name very well, but Flash is now replaced with another software. But yeah, that is the best one which you can use for animations. But like I said, you can also work with PowerPoint, add text, add images, animate them, or make the text and images appear and go and export it as a video. Yes, Camtasia too. Thanks, Iman too. There's Captivate, there's Camtasia. There are different options. Anybody else? Any questions? We move on to the next example. Okay, great. Moving on to the next one. We are done with infographics, short video clips. Next one we can use as micro content are images and illustrations. This is something which can be most commonly used after your infographics. So images and illustrations would just be probably an image which you would put in a small catchy one-liner text on it, something to catch the image, to catch the attention of the user, something very catchy it could be. Like the one you see on the right hand side has got a very nice and catchy design, a very informal, funky design on the right hand side option. The left hand one gives you more informative kind of an image, but it has a catchy online text which talks to you about the service provided by the company. So in one or two lines, you communicated what service is available with both of them. This is one of the examples. Another example could be something like this. So these are more samples of images and illustrations which you can use to create micro content. So individually, each image can be considered as a micro content. Anybody, any questions on these? Okay, great. You move on to the next option, which is available as micro content. You can use graphs and tables. I guess we all can also use it, but just to put it into place that tables and graphs are also considered as micro content. So individually, if you have to put up a post on Twitter or you want to put up a post on Instagram, you can just put up a graph and that will be it. That will be delivering the information which you require to send across to the client. Or a good table, you can have a table, take a screenshot of it, convert it into an image and put it online as well. So these two things can also be considered as micro content. Anybody have any questions on these? Okay, guys, right now I think it would be a good time right now if you want to take a paper, pen, again and probably just create a quick graph or a table, something listing down your software regarding the software which you're documenting. And if you have any questions, please come up with those. Please try and come up with a graph or a table for the software which you're using right now, documenting right now. The table could also be as simple as something like listing down the feature in the leftmost column. The center column would have a tick or a cross stating this feature is available or not. If there are multiple versions, then in which version this particular feature is available or not. You can list that as a table as well.
Delnaz, I have a question regarding this.
Sure.
Do you recommend hyperlinking in the micro content? Say, for example, the graph, the
Yes.
chart towards right, the table towards right. Say, I want to hyperlink to each of the company, Hello Post, First Venture, Silicon India. Do you recommend that, or is it just too overwhelming for the reader to have too many hyperlinks
It
into
depends on you. So for me, if I had to put this text, I would not want to link each of these links on the right hand side. I would not want to do it. But I would want to put a link at the end saying that, for more details, visit, and I would want to link it to my website, which is stylosolutions.com. So I would definitely want to put up a link on that. So it depends upon you as whether you want to all the time include a link or not. Like for me over here, if I'm putting up my logo, if I'm putting up the name of the company over here as Stylus Solutions, I know that users are smart enough these days. They will go Google it up, find Stylus Solutions, go to my website and search for details. But if I feel that there's a need that I want them to visit a particular page on my website, I will probably just put it down as a link saying that, for details on this particular topic, visit this particular link. So it depends upon how you want to take it. But yes, links would be good. Like we said earlier, we mentioned in the purpose, you want to wine and dine your date. So it is luring your user into the main content. So yes, that is best done through links, You got the interest and now you're taking them to the main site.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So the idea is to strike the right balance between how much information you want to divulge and how much you want to redirect to the user. Okay.
Correct. Right. Because every time if you're going to put up a post every single day and every single day you're going to have a link, probably the user may be too tired to click a link every single time.
Correct. That's
So
right.
you want to judge as to when exactly it is you want to strike the hammer and take them to the main page, and when are the other days when you're just luring them and creating the interest.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Have you created something? Any tables? Any charts? Any questions you'll have come up with while doing so? Please share. Graphs and tables are going to be used a lot in your content. So guys, please try and do something with the paper pen right now. Come up with questions you have. Okay, great. I take that as no questions as of now. So we move on to the next example of a micro content. This would be concise text blurbs or one-liners as we call it. So this could be just one sentences. Okay, I have a question from AK. Is it always recommendable to use design patterns like this on official documents? It's absolutely up to you. I believe you're talking about the blue patterns which are used on the tables. No, it's not very required. It depends upon you how you like it. It depends upon how you like to view your content. Here for me, it gives a clear view as to which is each row, differentiate each row for me very clearly. So now I know this is the first or second row and I'm not using borders around it. It's just a preference, Akshay. It's just a preference. Yeah, okay. So moving on to the next one, concise text and one-liners. So each one-liner, which is each bullet up here, is considered as one-liner. Please do not use all of these together to consider as micro content. Only one. Something like Twitter where you can put up text. Only these one-liners is what you can use to create micro content. Just one line of text. It is not even sometimes a complete line of text. It's just a fragment of a sentence right here. For example, the prime wisdom sentence says where thought goes, energy flows. So it's not even a complete sentence, it's a fragment. So such sentences is what you can use to create micro content. It will be considered as micro content. Okay, any kind of interesting facts or statistics that you have to state about your particular product? It can go up as text, or it can go up as an infographic, or it can go up as an image, and it can be considered as a micro content again. So probably just one layer of text, but it has to be interesting. It has to be fact. It has to be factual. It cannot be an opinion which you're stating. Make sure it's a fact or it's a statistics which you can back up with. So that's another example of micro content which you can use. Another example of micro content out here would be FAQs. Like we said earlier, if somebody has a question, a user has a question, and you've given a short answer as short as how is there on the screen right now, it can be considered as micro content. If your response is too long, it will not be considered as micro content, guys. Then you have to retain the text to shorter sentences and probably provide a link to more detailed explanations. So make sure when you're stating FAQs as micro content, you are using very short responses. So that's FAQs is another way of creating micro content. Another interesting way these days is creating memes. So this again can images which can give across information in a little more funny way. So if you look at the one on the left, it says the power of comma. If I read the first sentence, it makes me look like a Dracula. It says, I love eating my family and friends, which is not really true. What I meant to say was, I love eating my family and my friends. Okay. And if I have to define a semicolon, it just says, picture of the parking emeritos. So yeah, it's just simple, funny ways to create interesting messages for your readers so they get the point across. So these would be memes which you can use and create. Another very common form which we all use as technical writers is listicles. Listicles are basically lists which we create in our documents. These lists can be used as micro content, and but make sure that this list is minimal. It's not a huge list, as you can see even on the screen. We have not more than 4 to 5 bullet points out here, and each point does not have even a complete sentence. It just lists down a couple of words out there. So in this case, you can consider the listicle as a micro content. If the list is really huge and has a lot of text in it, or it has a lot of bullet points in it, it will not be considered as micro content. Okay, I have Prajakta asking me on chat if there is a standard set of style guide good to follow to create micro contents. There is not yet any style guide that I have heard of, but we do have tips and tricks of how to create micro content. I'll be covering that towards the end of the session, so kindly bear, we will go through it. Okay, guys, I'm moving on to the next one. Another thing which can be considered as micro content would be email subjects, just the subject line and an email brief, or sometimes just a brief email. So if I just pick up the sentence subject line itself only and put it on my social media, that itself could be considered as a micro content. So introducing stylus solutions, content design, and videos. Just that line on my social media would still connect me to the user saying what services I provide. So in this case, the subject line of the email can be considered as micro content. Another example is the below image which is there. That is the main message which I've put into the email itself. So this email, I put it in very short format. Just a couple of sentences are there and images with one word meaning as to what each image stands for. So this can also be considered as micro content. Okay, Akash, is there any particular way to test the usability of a particular micro content? There is no best test than to put it to test. In practicality, put it on your social media, you'll get the responses from the users. That will be the best test. There's no other way to test it as of now. You can probably share it with your colleagues, you can share it with your friends, family, get the responses. That's the best way to go about it right now. Yes, I think somebody had asked me initially at the beginning of the session, can we have these Google featured snippet considered as micro content? Definitely yes. These are one of the examples of micro content. So if you type anything in Google, like for example here in this image, we type micro content itself. There's a definition which comes up quickly at the beginning, which we've highlighted in red as well. This particular piece of text is always very short and crisp, and that is considered as micro content. Other examples of micro content can consist of web page titles, it can be tips which are shared on social media, it can be white paper abstracts, it can be audio files, again, not very lengthy, and then different other types of examples also, which you will come across, I think, as you browse more. But these are a couple of ones which we have covered right now in our session. Guys, do we have any questions on examples, or can we move on to the next topic?
There are a couple of questions.
Yes.
Chat section. Can we say that PowerPoint presentation is a form of micro content?
I think I've covered the chat questions. Only the last one is pending, so I'll quickly cover that. Okay. I've answered all the questions during the presentation itself. So last one says from Alpana, can we say that the PowerPoint presentation is a form of micro content? No, Microsoft PowerPoint is not a form of micro content. But if we look at the PowerPoint slide which I've presented right now, if we take each individual slide of this PowerPoint can be considered as micro content, but the entire PowerPoint presentation, no, it cannot be considered as micro content. Minimalism, you can, yeah, sorry. Anaka is asking how is micro content different than minimalism? I'm sure minimalism, you can reduce, I think there's more different variety of ways in which you can present your micro content. Minimalism, I'm not very sure as to how many different formats are available to really minimize the content, but let's not get into minimalization of content right now and focus on the topic of micro content, because it would be probably going into a different session altogether. Probably we can take it up separately as a topic. But yeah. Any other questions, guys? Can you move ahead to the next topic? Okay, I guess we'll move on to the next one. How is micro content implemented in technology? We are all into technical writing, so I think this will be an interesting topic for us again. Now, these days, AI is the most wanted technology and is used in most of the software which are available today, even in the applications. One of the main common form in which it is used is in chatbots. When you see the most chatbots uses micro content as an auto response for the user queries. You type a question and you get a line or a small paragraph of text as a response. So this response is nothing but micro content. Okay, so chatbot uses micro content. Next is voice messages. Okay, another most common use of micro content is that of short voice messages in applications like Alexa or phones or washing machines, TVs, microwaves, etc. We give a voice command and we get a quick short voice response from the machine. So this is termed as micro content again. Another example where it is used is in search page results. Okay, so we here micro content is like we saw in Google snippet earlier. Each result to also when you're searching for any text besides the Google snippet itself, there are other results also which are listed on the page, and each result will have a micro content below it. So let me just quickly take you through something like that as an example. Yeah. So if I write Stylus Solutions Private Limited and I press enter, I have a list of options listed over here, and each option below has some text written over here. So if you see the first option, saying that Stylus designed words to focus on the need of the reader, writer, listener, etc. And Stylus Solution is nominated for the best MSME award. So this piece of text right below the main link of the website is also termed as micro content. Getting back to our presentation. Another common way where we can use micro content is for flowcharts. I think as technical writers, you would be using a lot of flowcharts within our content to explain the flow of a system or probably a particular function within the software. So these flowcharts, individually, if we pick them up and put them out, they are also micro content. Another very important place where micro content is used is tagging. Now, tagging is an important feature of organizing content. Users do not directly see the tags, the end user will not see it. The developers and technical writers often use tags to categorize contents and thus manage it. So these individual tags which are used can also be considered as micro content. So any queries on the usage of micro content in technology, guys? Okay, I believe somebody wants to show a flyer which they have created. Sure, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm just going to share my screen.
Sure.
Can you guys see it?
It's still loading for me, but it's just showing me a blank screen right now. Yeah, now I got it.
This could be an example of an infographic on a flyer where it could be like for a car usage, like or a car specification, or if you're launching a new car or something, we could have like something very generic like this. Could this be one of the micro content pieces?
Yes, you can consider it as micro content as long as you're not putting too much of text. Like the text put up over here right now is perfectly fine. That much of text would be considered as micro content because it can be consumed in 30 seconds. That's it. That's my bottom line. I'll just think so. I'll ask this question to myself. Can the reader read and understand this content in 30 seconds, irrespective of the way in which it is presented? It is micro content.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Great. Welcome. So, anybody else any questions? Do we move ahead with the next topic?
Delna, can you please, talk a little bit more about tagging? Like, how do we use it? And
I will not be getting into the way too much of details as to how to use it, but mostly people would require tags to categorize content. So, for example, if I have to give you where you can use tags, would be something like, say, if you have particular features, it is more, I think it would be used more by software developers, but sometimes if you're using technical writing software in particular, which allows you to insert tags, you're using it for writing as well. You would probably just collate data into one piece or something which is related to a particular feature of yours. So you have a fixed security feature in your particular software, and you have some XYZ points to be covered under it. Under security, this particular feature goes, this feature goes, this feature goes. So you can just tag each feature as security based.
oh, okay.
So it is basically more as something which you would be using while developing. If you're using, then great. That is just to let you know that is also micro content. But if you're not using, it's not that you have to go out of your way and create tags to introduce micro content as such. This is just for information. If you are somebody who uses tagging, then that can also be considered as micro content. Yeah?
All right. Thank you.
Great, welcome. Anybody else, any questions? Great. Okay, AK, yes, you have a question. One second, let me go back. Can we say that any content with tags or text which the audience can understand within 2 to 3 minutes is known as micro content? 2 to 3 minutes is way too long, 30 seconds is the maximum. 15 to 30 seconds, ideally 10 seconds is great. Max 30 seconds to 3 minutes is absolute no. Answer is no. Next question, anybody else? Guys, we have 2 more topics to cover. If you have any questions, please ask them quickly so we can move ahead. Is there any SEO that you can apply to micro content? Yes, you can if you're really smart enough to create a one-liner or create a video with your SEO text. Of course, why not? Please challenge yourself. Yes, it can be included. Any other questions? Mansi, I hope I've answered your question there. Okay, guys, I guess we'll move on. Great. I'll move on to the next topic for now. Okay, micro content for technical writers. What's in it for me? Okay, we know how micro content is implemented in technology. So now let's see how we can do it in our writing. We already do it. So let's just identify that this, what we are doing in our content, is considered as micro content. So we all use different heading levels. The very first one says is heading level. Use heading level 1, heading level 2, heading level 3 in a document. So if I have to pick up just one particular heading level individually and put it up on my social media, it can be considered as micro content. So that's how you easily create micro content. Another example would be links. These would be links to videos, URLs, or other documents. So these could be links which you're inserting inside your document itself. You can pick up this link and add it to any other micro content which you have, like we've discussed already. I think a couple of people have asked me, can we insert links? So yes, links is a fantastic way of creating micro content. Another very great way of implementing micro content is creating collapsible text. So I think this would be text which, where you have a plus left hand side, you click on it, plus sign, it expands, you can see additional text below it. You click the minus sign, again collapses, so you only see the main text. So such collapsible text can also be considered as micro content, just the part of it. If the detailed section is there, the detailed section has to be very short, else it will not go as micro content. So yeah, if you want to incorporate collapsible text in your documents, that can be a great way of adding micro content. Another example would be pop-ups. Every pop-up which you add, so if you have a link in your document, if you click on it, there's a small pop-up over there with text in it, or probably one small image in it, or a short video in it. That content within the pop-up can also be considered as micro content. Pop-ups usually do not have a lot of information, so usually almost all pop-ups will be considered as micro content unless you really have too much information, which ideally should not even go in pop-ups. So these are the few ways in which you can apply micro content in your documents as such. Now, when we saying creating micro content all these ways, is micro content all about using technology alone? The answer is no. Okay, the very first step towards creating micro content is to write content which is micro, which is crisp and concise. Okay, which we all need to do all the time, day-to-day basis as a technical writer. So a few golden rules to that. It would be remove all kind of redundancy within your text. Okay, use active voice, use consistency in words and formatting. Why use consistency? Because this helps the user to read through the content faster. The content is formatted in a particular way. They know exactly what kind of formatting is applied to what, and they will probably just skim through those particularly formatted words. For example, bold or italic. I may just skim through those italic or bold words, and I'll get the gist of what I was given in the entire content. So consistency and not just words, but formatting is also important. So when I say consistency is words, I would say if you're using an XYZ term, don't use a synonym of that word in the next sentence. You know, use the same term so it's easier to digest. You don't have to think again, is it the same thing? Is it something different you're trying to say? So maintain consistency in words and formatting. The next important thing is to use short sentences. And the last one is to select your words wisely. Ensure the words you select they convey the right meaning to the end user. So that's how you can apply micro content into your writing. Before I move ahead to the different options available, do you have any questions in the application of writing? Any questions, guys? Can you move ahead? Okay, great. So now while headings, links, collapsible text, pop-ups are great ways to implement micro content, Madcap, there is also the new release of it 2019 has included specific sections to include micro content into your text. So let's have a look at some of these. Which features are available for including micro content? One of them is featured snippet. So Madcap Flare allows you to include featured snippets like we saw for Google. You can also create featured snippets for a particular application. So when somebody is searching something in the in your search, you will first have the snippet come up and search results. So this is one of the options available. Another option available allows you to create effective databases. So here you can create these question answer formats which we said earlier can be considered as micro content. So you can create a list of it here, but each individual one will be considered as micro content. So this is another feature available with Madcap Flare to create micro content. Another interesting one is it allows you to create chatbots. So now using Madcap, you can create a chatbot for your application. Simply, you will need to use the features which are built in available with the application. Another option is to create field level help. This will be more like context sensitive help which you create for individual fields on a particular screen. So if you have a question mark next to a screen and you click on it, you particularly have some text available over there describing what needs to be done in that particular field. So that's your field level help which you can include in your documentation using Madcap there. Another example is that of phrases and responses. So these are used to allow users to search for particular phrases. You can use the local toolbar in Madcap Flare content editor to create and manage phrases. So when the phrase is selected from the grid, the associated response will appear on the right-hand side. So these are basically searches. So you can enter the response to the right side of the editor and link it to the main topic. So your phrase is the search term which the user will be searching for, and the response will be basically the definition or the explanation of a particular term. So you can use that phrases and responses to create your search results. Okay, Madcap Flare also allows you to generate different types of micro content reports. So if you see, I've highlighted in red the different kind of reports you can generate. Okay, these could include view micro content, empty phrases and responses, or view files with micro content links. So there are a couple of ways in which Madcap Flare has implemented micro content feature in their software. So using that, you can include micro content in your documentation if you're using this particular software to create content. So any questions on these, guys? Shall we move on to the last topic which you have for the session?
Yes, let's move on.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll move on to the last topic, which is tips and tricks for creating micro content. Great. Now, this what you see on the screen on the right hand side, it's simply an example which I have used as a sample of micro content. This could be termed as a micro content. And now let's see how we have used these tips and tricks to create this kind of micro content. Okay, this one is simply to insert a shape in MS Word. It is really short and crisp. They give the steps in very few, just 3 steps, and there's an additional link below to download the app or anything as such you want to do. So the first step is to create accurate and complete content. So while micro content needs to be short, don't leave it incomplete. Okay, so you cannot just write third step. So even though there's a fourth step, I will not write it because it will not be micro content. That please do not do. Make sure that all the required information is there in short. So even if you do not want to tell them in detail as to where to go about, so if I don't want to say click insert shapes, I will just say select any shape required from the shapes icon, just at a very broad level also, but I need to make sure it's complete, and then have a link which will give you details of it. So make sure all the required information is there in short, and then you can provide a link for more detailed information if required. So in this example which you see, the steps are given which are correct and complete. Another tip and trick would be to use useful information. So while you're providing micro content, make sure the content you're creating is around useful information, because if the information is not useful, people are not going to share it further, and it's not going to go viral on your Instagrams or media or social media sites. So make sure you are creating micro content for useful information. It's information people can relate to. Okay, the main purpose is that the user should circulate it and share it. Next tip would be to create a call to action. Okay, like in all other types of content like blogs, do end your micro content with a call to action as well. Okay, for example, in this particular example, you will see there is a call to action at the end. It says download the app now. That's your call to action. What do you want the reader to do after they get the message? That you read through your content, or they go through your video, or they've seen your particular graphic. What do you want to do? What do you want them to do? So not necessarily every piece of micro content should have a call to action, but you ideally should have it in wherever possible. Okay, so micro content should be small yet magnificent. So ensure that the content is powerful enough to convey your message. Select the right kind of media. We saw multiple examples of micro content. So select the right kind of example, the right kind of media to communicate carefully what you need to tell you to your end users. Okay, images, infographics can be your best friends. Please go for it. In this example, we have added text to an image along with a catchy headline to make it impactful. The most important thing, guys, please sound authentic. Okay, ensure that the text you include sounds authentic and specific, and it will sound like spam. And if it sounds like spam, users are not going to respond to your call to action. So for example, if over here, if we added the call to action as check this out instead of download the app, check this out would read very much like spam and unauthentic information. So people would usually be scared to click a link which just says, check this out. So be careful as to what content you're putting, how you're writing the content. So make sure you sound authentic. Next is keep it going. If you're creating micro content for social media, ensure that you keep adding posts almost every day, every alternate day, or at least once a week. So you have to come up with a strategy for your micro content online, how frequently you want to do it, and then make sure you maintain that frequency, because then your users will get to receiving such kind of inputs from you on every alternate day, every day, or every once a week, or every once a month. They will get used to it. So once they get used to this pattern, don't break the pattern. Make sure you keep it going. Okay, lastly, choose the right platform. There are multiple platforms available online today where you can publish your information. So select the right platform or the right mix of platforms. You don't need to go with only one platform. Select the right mix of platform based on your target audience. This will also ensure that you are reaching out to the people you really want to. And the last and most important one, try to keep it catchy and funny. Who doesn't want to have a quick laugh? So try and make it as interesting as possible. So that's it from my end in terms of micro content. Guys, we're open for any questions you may have. Any questions, guys, please? We have last 5 minutes left. Any questions, please come up with those.
We have a question
I'll
from
just read out
Siju. Yeah.
on the chat. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I believe Akash has asked, can error messages also be considered as micro content? Not very sure if it will be a micro content, but why would you use error message as a micro content? I mean, what message would it pass to your user? Why would you want to put a screenshot of your error message as a micro content? It doesn't really make sense to me. So it is micro content, but not usable. So no, I would not really want to use error message as a micro content. But if you have a particular screenshot of a particular screen of your application, which is very important, which gives you the idea of how the look and feel of the application would look. So I would take a screenshot of that particular interesting screen, one nice catchy line at the bottom, and use that as micro content to go on my platforms to make the users interested and want to look at the application, go ahead with it. So yeah, that's what I would use. I hope that answers the question. Siju has asked, does Robo help provide an option to create micro content just like Madcap Flare? As of now, I have not heard of it, but you can use the other options which are there by default, like the collapsible buttons you can use your heading levels, etc. So those kind of basic features are always there in all the applications, but nothing specific like Madcap Flare, which I heard of not in Robo yet. Guys, if anybody else who's more used to
Hi.
knows of any features for micro content, please let us know.
I have a question.
Yes, Ruma.
So, like when we are looking through, when we're on social media and, there are some ads or whatever, and
Right.
then they have the call to action also. But if the ad or if the micro content is not very appealing, we just tend to scroll it. And the only time that the ad has on screen is like that 2-3 seconds. So
Correct.
to keep your micro content very powerful and to make it successful such that the audience actually clicks it, like what do we do to get the audience to click it so that our micro content is successful
So here the best thing I would say
within
is,
those couple of seconds? Sorry,
I didn't get
I
the
said within those couple of seconds, like when you're scrolling, like it's really fast, right? So
right.
what can we do within that? It like 10 seconds also is a lot actually. So
Right.
within that maybe 3 or 4 seconds, like what could we do to make it like as engaging or as powerful as it gets?
Right. Right. So, Ruma, first of all, it is very, very important to target your micro content with the right users. So, if I am somebody who is just not looking for the software which you're selling, no matter how interesting it is, I'm not going to click it. So, you need to target your content to the right users. Once you target the right users, if you're going to use the examples which you have shared through this presentation and you're going to follow the tips and tricks, your user will be. The main thing is there needs to be a want for it. If there is no want, nothing will purchase it. So you have to create that want first. So probably first few micro content examples could also be to create a need. So it's very simple to create a need. You don't have one these days. Simply by telling them about the different kind of features available or how it would help them. The focus should be how it would benefit them rather than what features we have to give. So don't focus on
Okay.
what I have, what I am doing. Focus on them. Users say, this is your benefit. This is what you will get. So if the focus is on the user, they know what they're going to get. They will be interested. So probably you can do shares also, a couple of shares of telling them what you will get, what you will get, what you will get. Each time a different feature or something which you can focus on, and then at the end, after a particular amount of time, you can say now click here if you want it. You created the need, now you hammer it.
Got it. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, welcome, Ruma. Anybody else, guys? Any questions? Okay, great, guys. I believe there are no further questions coming up. I will share this presentation which I had with STC team, who will probably further forward it to you all. So you have the main points with you all. The pointers are there. And if you all have any further queries, please, you all have the email ID inbox, and I'll be happy to answer.
Cool. Delma, there's just one question that you may want to take. It is about tagging. Whether there is any reference that we can read and understand more on tagging, particularly so because many other people also had questions around that particular part.
I have not really have any particular links right now to share, but if I will definitely look up for it and I'll share some reference. I think when I share the PPT, I'll just add them towards the end. At the end, I'll probably just where the tagging section is there. I'll just add a couple of links you can go through as well.
That will be great. Any other questions, guys? Okay, I think we are at the end of the session now. I don't think we have any. Is someone trying to say something? Okay. So thank you, Delmas, for a very insightful session, and it has been a tough week for all of us with the cyclone and all of it. So I also appreciate the participants who showed up at a good number and also been a very great audience, very interactive session as well. Delnas, again, thank you for taking time out on a Saturday, especially on a weekend. And as a token of appreciation, we'll be giving Delnas an Amazon gift voucher. And we really hope to have her over again soon for another interesting session.
Okay, it was wonderful being here, Kunjan. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we'll be sending out the recording as well as the presentation text that Delnas shared with everybody. You can always reach out to her. Is that right, Delnas? You're open to having any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I have my email ID provided there in the document, so you can reach out.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Delnas.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Bye.